Morning, morning folks, morning traders. Oh, I'm a little bit blurry. Hold on. Is that better? Not really, right? What's going on here? Clean my camera. Anyway, I don't know. I might be blurry today. Hope everybody's well. As I said, maybe probably by next week I'll have my camera and stuff sorted out. I still can't figure it out. I think I may have bought the only camera that cannot connect. Oh, there I am. It's a little bit clearer now. Can't connect to my computer. But anyway, whatever. Morning, Amira. Morning, Leah. Morning, Dale. Morning, Silver. Morning, Clarence. Good to see you back, buddy. Hope you're well. Okay. Let's get into the markets, shall we? Actually, what we'll do is let's go over your trades first, because my stream will not be very long today, considering I ain't looking at very much and I'm in 2 trades. So Silver, yeah, as I said, if you can send through your higher time frames, I can have a better look at it there on US Tech. But let me go through EFO first, Silver, Martin, New Zealand Yen, Leon, Pound Yen, and then silver. So let's do that first before I get into it. One thing I'll also do as well when we do start simplicity trading is I'll bring the Friday morning workshops back. Those will be starting again. There's workshops where we can focus on an individual member as well. They're trading, obviously different topics. So I will be bringing them back once we flip over, which hopefully some of you have been requested about that, so I will be bringing them back when we switch to simplicity. Okay, EFO, let's look at silver. Your gold play, by the way, EFO, remember what we kind of talked about. Your gold play here, and I talked about this on A1 Trading, where yes, the daily still wasn't great, so I wouldn't be massively comfortable in a short there. But there was your kind of reason to go short. If you're looking at shorting gold, there was your candle that says, right, now is a good time. You know, we think about where it's come from: correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse. Bit of volume coming in the top there, a structure in the top of that pullback. Obviously, your catalyst coming on high volume, that was your reason to say, right, I'll look at gold shorts now because the market has told me it potentially wants to move to the downside, if you were that way inclined. Now, I wouldn't because of that daily candle. Now I would feel a little bit more comfortable, but obviously would have to reset up on gold. Okay, so silver. Let me just move you up here in case you're asking any questions. Silver. What do we think about silver? Is that a dark cloud cover? Opening lower, closing roughly around your 50%. It's probably just about on the theoretical definition of your dark cloud cover. Decent little impulse here on the daily from a very decent or a very sustained move to the downside. Okay, so shorting this right now, would I be comfortable doing that? Probably not. You know, unless this turns in for me from a daily perspective into your complex corrective because of this kind of reactionary support here. So unless this turns into this where, again, price action would look a little bit healthier for continuation to the downside, I wouldn't be looking at shorts just yet. Okay? And I'll go through, I'll show you what I mean. If we look at any crypto, let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin here. Right, I'm getting to the point where I'm almost looking at Bitcoin in crypto shorts as well. But like using that 20 period MA, the golden 20 for me is quite key because we're just in this corrective phase. So until we get price action looking like it's potentially ready to move, I won't be looking at crypto shorts just yet, but it's getting for a potential setup. It's getting there, roughly a B wave here. It just needs a little bit more time to digest that move, and that's what we're looking to do. So silver, too much structure to the left for silver to go up, so it makes sense to short it. Yeah, I agree. Obviously, bias is down. Yeah, we could be looking at a little rejection yesterday around this resistance zone, right, roughly around here. I just think in terms of what price action looks like, just not yet. For me, That's not saying it can't go down. Obviously, in any one trade, in any one scenario, anything can happen. We're trying to get the data and the edge over 100 trades, let's say. So because of this impulse, I'll be looking for it to be digested, a little bit more of a complex before thinking about shorting that. And with a few of the things, a few of these charts, a lot of them are quite similar, right? Where the 4 hour downwards looks nice, but the daily has that slight extension, which, for me is quite key. So from a 4 hour perspective, if you're looking at this, then yeah, I would agree. It looks decent for a move to the downside. Now, obviously that can happen, right? But I just don't like where the daily is. So in terms of breaks of channels, I kind of like what it's doing. You've got that channel. When they break, I kind of like a little bit of consolidation before continuing in that theoretical trend. So 4 hour perspective, it does look good. Can it move down? Yes. Do I think that's a bad play? No, because you're going with the overall momentum, right? So selling silver does make sense. I just worry about how far this can potentially go. Because if we're trying to be better than retail traders, right? I think over 100 times, right, when you see charts like this is kind of where you get retail stopped out, because maybe we're jumping the gun a bit too early because of that higher time frame. So, how many times do we see that? How many times do we see when trades, aren't really ready to move, that you potentially get stopped out on something like that? Your kind of liquidity run, your stop hunt, whatever you want to call it, complex corrective, the ABC is all involved in that. For continuation, we see it time and time again. So I agree with the bias. I just think it possibly needs a little bit more. And we look at smaller time frames. Actually, if you break out of this recent corrective from here, it would probably look better intraday to the upside. Okay, so there's mixed messages here in silver, but we always have to kind of go with this strongest time frame, which is the higher time frames, where I think it just needs a wee bit more time, as they say in Scotland, to digest this very good move to the downside, right? So if you're in it, yeah, you hold it, but you've kind of got to accept that the move has happened. Do we expect this, right, this to happen again? Maybe not. If we got potentially this, then yeah, it would have more of an argument to say, good impulse, you're kind of pull back to that 40-60 box, continuation down to the, let's say, the equidistant trend from what it did. Yeah, I think it would look a little bit better. But just not yet for me in silver. Just not yet. New Zealand yen. New Zealand yen for the Vegas man. New Zealand yen. New Zealand yen, what are you looking at? Cup with hand on the 1 hour, but it looks like a V reversal on the 4 hour. How would you play this? I'm thinking if price tests 82.49, we have something there specifically, especially in the 1 hour where MAs have crossed and the RSI is entering the 70-30 zone. 1 hour looks like a V. New Zealand cup with hand on the 1 hour, but looks like a V reversal on the 4 hour. So we're looking at the V reversal here. Okay, I can see that. Yep. Cup with handle on the 1 hour. Where are you seeing your cup with handle? Are you seeing it potentially a smaller structure here for your cup with handle at this area? Here, break to the downside. But then you're thinking about a V reversal on the 4 hour. So that mixed messages, is that what you're looking at, Martin? Vegas, baby. Yeah, I've got a different level to you. I wouldn't consider that for a cup with handle. I would have to look at what I would consider a significant zone to price, and this is where I would consider a significant zone to price. So I wouldn't consider this cup with handle. I just don't think that's massively respected right now. For me, I like to go with what's happening now, right? Where's the market respecting now? Not 2005, not 2010. What are we doing in price right now? And this is where I feel the key area, and this is also our 4 hour key area because it's our anchor to our downtrend, right? Or let me just go back and check that's right. Yeah, it's kind of our anchor. You could say, well, your close is there, but we do have this. But I would consider this a key area because it looks as if right now price is respecting it, right? Rather than this wick. So in terms of your anchor to trend, yes, you can have this as well, which will provide probably some sort of resistance, but it looks as if we are respecting this area. So I think your 4 hour is a little bit more valid than your cut with handle, or is more valid than your cut with handle. But obviously what we'd be looking at is, if you're taking a V, I know you look at it slightly different from me, but a little bit of pullback from this latest impulse, you'd be probably looking at a 3-bar retest. Depending on how that SPX does, if we do see a continued push, but we're still obviously going against that grain on the daily, right? So does this look great for movement to the upside? I wouldn't say just yet. You know, I wouldn't say just yet, but there is an argument. I just don't like that daily chart. You know, I don't really like it. So, yes and no. V reversal, I think you can look at, but the cut with handle for me, I wouldn't consider that a cut with handle, but you could consider this an ABC. So you could look at potentially areas here, right? So we know we like B wave, right? And this is not a bad ABC. Not bad. We probably like a little bit more volume here, but we're probably not expecting that over Asia. So you could look at technically a little V reversal in here for your 3-bar for continuation, as long as that stock market looks good and that yen weakens off. That would be better for me, Martin. I think that's a better trade than what you're looking at B wave here. That makes sense? So, you know, obviously here, ABC, B wave corrective, B wave's key for trend continuation, retail stops probably up here, in there, and your 3-bar retest, continuation, confluence with this, not massive confluence in the weekly, on the daily, sorry. Not massive confluence on the daily. But you're getting a 20, again, I don't really like that. I don't like the higher time frames. But your index analysis, your risk sentiment, maybe helping you on this one, on New Zealand yen. Oh yeah, no worries, mate. No worries. Absolutely. So yeah, I would think that would be a better level. Your V reversal on the 4 hour would be valid. I'm just trying to think what would make the weekly or the daily. I mean, you could, because of this on the weekly, I understand it's a weekly chart. For me, again, I would have to have something like that because of the kind of impulsive nature and the strength we're getting from this pullback from that pull. So, or from this push. So technically, yeah, you could say pullback, complete, continuation. I just don't like this price action. And it's where sometimes, not all the time, we see that complex. In which case, on your smaller time frames, you can make some money going up to potentially B wave, right? So that would be my bias on New Zealand yen. Is that a bias? I don't know if I've given a bias there, but maybe I would understand a shorter term move, but I don't know how far it would go because of that higher time frames. Essentially. GJ for Leon. GJ. Morning, Omar. Omar, how's your My Forex funds going? Okay, GJ. See, this is a little bit nicer than New Zealand yen, right? If we just look at it. Now, I'm not going to say this is this is an ABC because technically it's not. Right, it's more kind of price action based. It's probably a bit too large for me to consider a nice ABC. But that doesn't mean that this area is key. And it doesn't mean that I don't, I'm taking this out of account because this is a decent push. So comparing this to New Zealand yen, okay, we've come from here and it's still a pullback, right? And we're getting some momentum, some volume coming in here at the kind of end of that pullback, getting our V reversal. Right, so GJ, I do like to the upside, I have to say. Getting reaction off that 20. I'm not 100% confirmed in it. I'm not 100% confident in it until we break this area here. But do I think it gets up there? Yeah, I do think it gets up there. As long as we get, again, I'm going to say it for most of these yen pairs. If the stock market comes off, right, this is all irrelevant because the yen will come into strength. Absolutely it will. Okay, so we're roughly around here on GJ. Okay, so this is where I would consider, again, just looking at where the market's respecting. So if you don't understand what I mean by that, we don't know that until price comes up and tells us it's being respected. So we can have our area here. If price didn't reach that and came up to here, then we could say, well, maybe this is the key area that we are being respected right now. It doesn't often happen like that. You'll usually find price does come back to these areas that do stick out. So as we go along and we do something potentially like this, when we keep respecting this area, this is where I'm looking to take the breakout from. So GJ, if we are getting this reaction, which we are expecting, because of this decent impulse, if it comes down, looking at potential aggressive in that, maybe a decent play. V reversal in here. Come down, pull back, 40-60 box, potential aggressive on that pullback. And then obviously we're looking at a potential break as well on GJ to the upside. You know, with that, and again, I could be wrong on that niggling feeling about the stock market potentially being at the end of its drawdown or its move to the downside. That could be a decent play on GJ. Have a look at the weekly. But then again, weekly, I'm not a massive fan of. A little bit better than New Zealand yen, but it's another one that could turn into that complex. So, you know, another way to look at this is what we're seeing here on the weekly, right? Will that kind of match up with the stock market? Will we get another leg down? Will we have a little push now, have another leg to the downside before we continue? I mean, maybe. So yeah, GJ, I like long, but not just not quite yet. Yeah, so Martin, with the aggressive, I'm not worried because we probably get a bit out of it. But for my breakout, if we do this, you're probably expecting the 200 to maybe start to come down, whereas our breakout will be above. So if that doesn't happen, Martin, right, and we stay like this, then yeah, I couldn't take it. I could take it as a breakout retest if we do something like that and we get an engulfer. So this is not in the way as dynamic resistance to price. But for the aggressive, I'm not as worried because we're trying to be aggressive. And if we've got an entry in here, let's say on a hammer, right? I understand the premise of it is we break the level and that will still be there. I get that. But, you know, you think about our trade where we're getting up to this area, you're still a few R to, you know, one or two R up basically on that entry. But again, I don't really like the weekly, but I do like the daily. So let's see on GJ. Let's see. Morning, Big Nick. Not great, down around 3%. How long have you got, Omar? Silver, how are you doing as well? Are you in GA, Silver? I'm not sure if you're in GA. Let's go through the... what else do I have? GJ, I did. Oh, Silver, your trades here. Yeah, so I had a look at this. This is nice, right? This is valid. Essentially, your kind of cut with handle within cut with handle breakout, steady state retest. Over Asia, you're not expecting a massive bump in volume, but you do have your morning star catalyst here. Okay, so do I think that's valid? Yeah, I do. I do think it's valid. You know, for me, obviously stop at the previous swing. I think here having your stop there is very tight. I don't know whether you're doing that or not, but you know, something like that would make sense. And yeah, I do think it's valid. 4 hour, again, you can kind of see the 4 hour there potentially breaking out. Well, it has broken out of this anchor, right? It has broken out of this anchor. Yeah, okay, we've got resistance here as well, but you probably get 1-to-1 before that resistance, before that, you know, this trend line here. So yeah, I think there's validity. Daily, obviously, counter trend, going against the grain. There is some a decent day yesterday, albeit on reducing volume, but there is some strength to it. But it does look like a pullback. So it's counter trend, as you are obviously well aware. But the 4 hour has validity. The setup has validity. If you like that, if you like the risk on that counter trend play, then yeah, I could see it. So you could have your confluence, and again, this is where you put your hat on to maybe try and make a trade. So it does look like this, but if we look at our kind of dominant candles and our bullish pushes on these green candles, they're pretty strong, right? Marabuzo yesterday, but when you get there to let's say roughly that trend line, you will maybe have 1-to-1, right? I'm presuming you'll probably have 1-to-1, in which case it's maybe valid depending on where you want to put your stop, right? Every trade management is obviously different. So, you know, if you're entering here, yeah, I mean, I don't mind that, Silver. I don't mind that at all. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, then I agree with you, Silver. Then I agree. I think there's certainly validity to that idea. I think the setup's valid. I think the 4 hour is nice. So yeah, I would agree with you. I think that's nice. I think that's nice. Do you skip leg day? I don't need it. I'm short, so my legs are pretty buff on the dirt bikes. Another short king like me, Nick. Yeah, no worries, mate. Okay, let's have a look at the trades that I'm looking at. SPX is relatively similar, right? SPX is relatively similar. It doesn't look too bad. I would have thought that this would push. London is opening in 10 minutes. From here, this wasn't a trade for me. It was close to being one, but not quite a setup on that breakout retest. 4 hour has had a slight retracement, and obviously from that 1 hour slight retracement and retest. I would have liked it to push on. It's not really doing that right now. It's getting to the decision point. I think that's fairly. It's probably the easiest way to analyze this now. You know, we're getting to roughly where we failed, or where, you know, roughly we started going down before. And as you probably put a trend line in there, it's roughly around there, roughly around the 20, roughly around this old support potentially becoming new resistance. So where are we going to go? Up or down? I don't know yet. I can have a guess. I do think the 4 hour looks okay, but you know, we would have liked to see momentum here, and we're not getting that. So the bias of do we continue is maybe fading. And as I said, I'm not going to predict this. You know, as I said, my bias for continuation up is kind of still there, but I would have liked a real push yesterday, which we didn't really get. So let's let the market tell us. Let's just let the market tell us which way it wants to go from an hourly perspective, depending on what London does, because, you know, London opening in 8 minutes. If you see a push here, it might look a little bit better, but you will get sellers coming in at some point. You know, you're expecting that. You're expecting sellers to come in. So let's see if they take control. Let's see if they take the control. So the other one I'm looking at is really GA. I had pound CAD on my list, but that was actually a mistake. So GA has been, you know, one of the worst things in a trade is getting kind of caught in a range, and this is what we are really getting right now. I still like it, right? I still like it. It certainly looks better than it did yesterday. Getting another reaction around this resistance, around this trend line. I am looking at it as a breakout, so we can look at it from here. We've got our kind of ABC, we take it here. I'm looking for that bit of accumulation for a break to the upside. I'm not as worried about this bar right now. I know it looks pretty bad, but we've still got 2 and a bit hours before this 4 hour closes. And if we do get some rejection, that will probably create our anchor for our breakout to the upside. Right, GA as well from a daily. You could actually place, I could actually place a breakout on the daily on this head and shoulders here. Little squeeze into this zone, right? So that's nice. And that's still valid, right? As long as we don't break the lows here, that is still valid. I would just prefer to have it from a risk-reward, obviously, perspective on this 4 hour. So again, I'm trying to get my hat off because I'm in this trade and thinking, should this go up? And I still do like it. You know, in terms of the trade-wise as well, we've got dynamic support here, 200, 200, 200 starting to curl up. As long as we don't break these highs, which means we may come down a little bit more, right? If we do that, it's still okay. We can look at this. You know, it's still okay. It's just one of those slow burners. Just one of those slow burners that you've got to sit through. And yeah, it'll be a frustrating one if it loses, but like I said, can't do anything about it now. I still do like this, waiting for this 4 hour to close on GA. SPX reacts from the 50% pretty often. Yeah. Yeah, that is the path of least resistance, right? It is the path of least resistance. So, you know, I'm just going to let the market tell me. You know, before you had it here, right? Market's told you. Here, we've had it here. The market's told you. Are we going to get the market to tell us? In which case, yeah, you look at shifting that perspective. We've got to keep up just because of a bias of, you know, I think it might move up yesterday. It doesn't mean that's going to, you know, stay the same today. We've got to keep up with what's happening right now. So, yeah, bias is down. It's just my hunch says, well, maybe we rise, but you know, that's just a hunch. Pound dollar down, pound dollar down. Pound dollar down from there. Decent strength on that pullback. Reaction around that 20. I mean, I didn't actually look at the DXY. Dollar on that too. I just, you know, I still don't like dollar long right now. You know, from this price action, you know, maybe again, something like this continuation would make sense for me. We've had some ugly pullbacks that's continued in the dollar. I think a lot of this will be dependent on the stock market, right? We see stock market push. I think dollar continues, right? From a 4-hour perspective, you're kind of in this rangy motion where you might continue that and then get another leg down. So yeah, we're at decision point. We're at decision point, I think. Yeah, I'm not a really divergence man, Nick. I'm not a divergence man. I'm just going by, you know, obviously the way that I see it from the SPX weekly perspective. You know, in that I don't mind this. You know, indexes, and yes, I agree, right? Trend is down. Daily trend is down. 4-hour, there's an argument there where we've broken anchors, but we'd like to see a bit more momentum on that push. But I just like the amount we've corrected. I mean, SPX year to date is what, down 15%. COVID drop here. You know, did we think this was going to happen? Yes, I understand that it's a different market now. This was propped up by the Fed. Not really happening at the moment. But do we think this kind of pullback is enough to price in everything that's happening? That's the main question for me. That's the main question. Are we priced in now? Have we had as much of a tumble? I don't know about you guys, but a lot of my mates are being absolutely battered in the stock market this year. So let's see. Yeah. If the SPX goes down, what pairs are expected to move up? What are the correlation pairs? Well, just from a basic, Martin, it's yen and dollar would probably be the biggest beneficiaries of a stock market fall. Swiss is not it is a risk off pair, but you don't see it acting as much. I've found post COVID than the yen does. So yeah, the SPX goes down. You'll certainly see some yen strength. You'll probably see some, and you will likely see some dollar strength. I don't want to say 100% because, you know, nobody knows what's going to happen in the future, but that's where I'll be looking at putting my money. Gold as well, fundamentally, I think should be rising, right? Should be rising for me. But it's had that correlation recently with the dollar. Gold up, dollar down, gold down, dollar up, or more dependent on the dollar, let's say. So, but gold does look short. Gold looks short. So this is why I don't really like the fundamental analysis, because I'd be saying let's buy up gold here. And I mean, there's still an argument for it on this daily. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Let's wait and see what happens and react to it rather than predicting. That's the best bet. I'd rather react to the market than predict the market. I think that's the best thing to do. The NASDAQ. Yeah, well, yeah. Tech is a big part of it, right? So, yeah, as I said, I've said the bias is down. I said the bias is down, right? And technically it is down, but from a weekly perspective, all that I'm saying is there's an argument here that corrective is over. That's all I'm saying. There's that argument. I'm just putting the thought out there that it could be. So as I said, I've put some money into my investing account here. And if we do it again, right? If we do it again, fine. I'll put some more in here. No problem to me. You know, if we do push up or we come back down, investing point of view, fine. I'll put a little bit more money. And at this point, I'll say, okay, how can I buy this yen? Where's the setup? Buying the yen, buying the dollar. That's what we do, right? That's what we do as traders. So, yeah. That was all I was looking at, right? Pound Aussie, pound CAD, it shouldn't be in there. That was wrong. Apologies, guys. Aussie New Zealand. Aussie New Zealand. Do this before I go. Aussie New Zealand. I was umming and ahhing on whether to put this in because of this daily, right? Because of that. So confluence is with the kind of higher time frames, but again, just that complex corrective worry. But the 4 hour, the 4 hour's all right. The 4 hour's all right. You know, you break above this wick and that negates B wave. But I'd be taking the break from this area on this kind of, well, certainly cut with handle accumulation. I don't want it, basically, I don't want this to make me make the decision. You know, if we get some bullish pressure here, and this is obviously the closest one to a potential trade, apart from Pound Aussie Daily, but I'm looking for the 4 hour on that. It would make sense. I just don't like that, and I don't like the daily. You know, we're getting nice accumulation. We have got this, but then you could be looking at this as well. Move to the downside. I don't want this to make me make the decision. So, and if I have to go with my gut, there'll be something in my gut telling me I don't like this. So I hope this comes back down. Essentially. You mentioned short in crypto, just Bitcoin and ETH. All of them. Short it all, Martin. Short it all. Because a lot of it should go down. I just have here Bitcoin, ETH, Litecoin. I probably will put Ripple on it. It's just I've got quite a lot of holdings in Ripple. I don't like to see it go down. So it hurts me. Yeah, short it all, mate. Short it all. It'll all follow Bitcoin, right? It'll all follow Bitcoin. And it's getting close. You know, it's getting close. Certainly getting close. You know, and if we get a setup and if time moves on, a couple of days go by, probably... What are we now? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe something early next week where if we get a potential setup, you know, here, this would obviously be a nice area to take it out from. ABC, digestion from this move. Yeah, it makes sense. There's nothing there telling me to buy it yet. So, well, apart from, what was the one that went down like 90%? Luna? Was it Luna? But yeah, I mean, I don't look at all the other altcoins as well, Martin. I just stick to the kind of major cryptos, and I would certainly be looking at shorting that. Went down to 0. Yeah, I didn't even know what Luna was. You know, so for me, there's plenty money to be made on your majors because they do move pretty well. Yeah, continuing with that. I mean, look, if we get this right, if you get this here. We're obviously going to short that, right? Even if you're wrong, 20 period, even if you're wrong there, it's still I wouldn't be, not that I could take that trade because I'm not a pullback trader unless this had a kind of V reversal, but yeah, that's what you're looking for, right? That's what you're looking for. You bought it 26. Yeah. Your target is my target for Bitcoin is always going to be 100K. Right, it'll always be 100K. So I haven't bought it yet. You know, I haven't bought it yet. If, you know, even if, let's say we do this, right, then I would think about buying it up here. So I'm still happy with around, I don't know, 38K, you know, triple my money or something like that. I'm perfectly happy with it. I'm just not comfortable buying it just yet. But I would understand if your target is 100K, yeah, buy it here. Comes down, buy it again. Very similar to the stock market, right? If you find things on discount, just buy it. Wait a few years, and you'll be all right. It's as low as it's been since the end of 2020. Yeah, it's melting down. It's melting down. I just think it goes lower. I think it goes lower. At the moment. That could change tomorrow, but at the moment, I think it goes lower. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I see it as, Martin. I just see it as Bitcoin. There's different. There was that time a little bit. There was that time, when was it, 2-3 years ago, where they were trying to define the asset class is it in, you know? Is it the digital gold? Is it a store of value? Is it an investment? Does it have real world use? I mean, it depends on how you look at it, right? For me, in terms of what do I look at Bitcoin as? A way to make money. I don't care. You know, I don't think I'll ever use Bitcoin to pay for stuff. I mean, I could eat my hat on that. I don't see it as a digital gold. I don't see it as a safe haven. I just see it as Bitcoin. You know, I see it as 100K, and if I buy at 20, I could make a lot of money from it. You know, that's what I see. Yeah, but then there's also the issue about the environmental stuff about it, right? Which potentially it might not be Bitcoin, and I could see a future currency, but it might not be that one. So there's the thing. I mean, I don't know about 5 years. 5 years is maybe 10, maybe even 20, 15. You got to think about. I know some South American countries are using it, but anyway, I don't know. Crazy Horse Strip Club now accepts Bitcoin here in Vegas. Oh, well, there you go. It might come into the strip clubs first. And there's probably a reason for that, Martin. Think about the owners of these places, right? I think they'd be very happy to be paid in Bitcoin. I think they'd be very happy to be paid in Bitcoin. And that's another thing about it, right? How do you stop the fraud? I mean, I don't know enough about it, right? I don't know the technical side of it. I'm not that way inclined. But it's obviously a massive use for things like money laundering, things like unsolicited activities. Massive for that. And, you know, there'll have to be some sort of regulation coming out. Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. Check that pizzas, right? The guy who bought something like 600 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. Yeah. So let's see. But like I said, for me, it's just something that where I can make a money on if it goes to 100K, and that's how I look at it. Right, I better go because we can chat about this all day. Oh, it's gonna come on in. I've been on here for 40 minutes, and I've only got one pair on my watch list, really. So let's see how Pound Aussie does today. Not massively interested in anything else, to be honest with you. I'd like to see some rejection, potential breakout, but that's about it. Reach 10 mil. Yeah, well, maybe when we're pensioners. You never know. All right, guys, have a lovely day. I will see you all in the morning, and trade safe. Peace.